This year's been pretty nuts for movies, am I right? I mean, it's been pretty nuts in general, but we don't talk global politics on this channel. This is for movies. And this year has been a doozy at the box office. This year, the top 3 films grossing worldwide were not comic book movies, adaptations of books, or sequels of long-beloved franchises. The 3rd highest grossing film was an R-rated historical biopic about the invention of the nuclear bomb. The 2nd highest grossing film was a movie based on a beloved video game franchise, and the highest grossing movie of the year? Well, that's what we're here to talk about today. Okay, so I know this might be triggering, having a white guy with a beard talk about the Barbie movie. You know, a movie about a doll for children. But there are so many bearded assholes on the internet taking this movie in bad faith, I thought it would be nice to have a diversity of opinions from those of us who sprout facial hair. Before you jump into the comment section and complain about wokeness, I beg you to please refrain until you watch the entire video. Or, if you cannot be bothered, just go outside and live life like a normal human being. Like and subscribe! So Barbie, the first part of the brilliant cinematic event Barbenheimer, was written by Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, and directed by Gerwig herself. Much like Oppenheimer, Barbie is a who's who of stars in the cast. Margot Robbie plays stereotypical Barbie. Issa Rae plays President Barbie. Kate McKinnon plays Weird Barbie. Emma Mackey plays Physicist Barbie. Alexandra Shipp plays Writer Barbie. Hari Nef plays Dr. Barbie. Dua Lipa plays Mermaid Barbie, and so on and so on. Ryan Gosling plays Ken. Simu Liu plays Ken, Kingsley Ben-Adir, Scott Evans, Nkuti Gatwa, John Cena, they all play Ken. And then you've got Will Ferrell as a Mattel CEO, Michael Cera, America Ferrara, Rhea Perlman, Emerald Fennell. Hell, Helen Mirren is the narrator of this movie. Everyone in the cast is astounding and fantastic, but the key characters in the piece are Margot Robbie's Barbie and Ryan Gosling's Ken, who both have crises of identity that drive the film. Margot Robbie in particular brings a powerful emotionality to her performance, and the gradual shift from service-level living doll to the full-fledged character at the end of the film is one of her better performances in her career. But before we get onto the movie, we need to talk about the important stuff. No. Greta Gerwig. Now, Greta Gerwig got her start in the late 2000s as an actor working in the improvisational-heavy mumblecore films of Joe Swanberg. Films like Hannah Takes the Stairs, Nights and Weekends, and Northern Comfort. And if you don't know those movies, don't worry, just ask your pretentious film school friends. They love them. Then she wrote and starred in Frances Ha and Mistress America, films that were directed by her longtime partner Noah Baumbach, before, in 2017, making her directorial debut in the highly praised Lady Bird. And all of a sudden, an auteur was born. In particular, her sophomore feature Little Women is a fantastic example of how to take a story that's been told over and over again and make it unique. Through her first 2 films, Gerwig shows a mastery of visual storytelling, a deep command of structure, and the ability to find and elevate talent. With that, and Margot Robbie as a producer in particular really liking Little Women, the long and troubled production of a Barbie movie finally found its director. Watching Barbie, you can tell that Gerwig and Baumbach are masterful when it comes to writing a screenplay. They incorporate long-standing practices of Hollywood storytelling and make it their own. Let's talk the hero's journey. Now, there's an old, long-dead white guy with some pretty problematic views named Joseph Campbell. And he took it on himself to comb through all of the mythologies of the world and bring them together in his 1949 book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. And with this monomyth, he posited that every single story in human history follows the same structure. Filmmakers like George Lucas, authors like J.K. Rowling, and studios like Disney all have utilized Campbell's structure in their work. Everything from Star Wars to Rick and Morty can be seen having his influence on them. And every single moment in the hero's journey is in the Barbie movie. There's the ordinary world, or the status quo for Barbie Land. There's the call to adventure, which is when Weird Barbie tells her to go on an adventure. There's the refusal of the call, which is just literally Barbie refusing the call. There's meeting the mentor when she meets America Ferrera's character. Tests allies and enemies is just her time at the Mattel Corporation. The ordeal is returning to Barbie Land, thinking it's going to be normal and status quo, but finding out it has been turned into Kenland. The reward, or the sword, is America Ferrera's speech that gives Barbie the power to unbrainwash the other Barbies. The road back is their plan in action, bringing the Barbies back to normal. The resurrection is having the Kens fight each other and having a fantastic song and dance number to boot. And the return is bringing back Barbie Land to its status quo, but much like the Lord of the Rings, she no longer has a place there and would rather live life as a woman. And in staging the screenplay with the tenets of the hero's journey, Gerwig and Baumbach take the opening monologue by Helen Mirren, calling Barbie an aspirational figure for women, and they make it so. For a movie that's based around a doll created for children in 1959, the themes of Barbie are surprisingly deep. In the film, Barbie is spurred to adventure into the real world because of an errant thought of death, which leads to her whole perfect world falling apart. Her attempts to fix herself inadvertently leads Ken to take over Barbie Land, which just further exacerbates the issue. And here's the key thing that makes this movie work on a fundamental level, making Ken the antagonist, and giving him an equally powerful existential crisis. You see, Ken doesn't know who he is, unless it's in relation to Barbie. As he puts it,
"But it's Barbie and Ken. There is no just Ken."
So when he finds some sense of self-confidence in the patriarchy of Century City, Ken takes over Barbie Land in a misguided attempt to be someone that Barbie would want to be with. Therefore, Ken's existential crisis increases Barbie's existential crisis, which is a great way to tie the themes of the film into the conflict. Barbie's stereotypical Barbie, and all her other Barbie friends are doctors, lawyers, diplomats, Nobel Prize winners, and she doesn't know where she fits in. To be honest, she doesn't really get a clear definition of who she is at the end of the film, which is apt because most existential crises do not resolve themselves in an hour and a half, no matter how many dance numbers you partake in. But by the end of the film, both Barbie and Ken are on the road to self-discovery. Barbie saying to Ken,
"Maybe all the things that you thought made you you aren't really you."
could have been just as poignant if she was to have been saying it to herself in a mirror. The other major themes of this film are feminism and consumerism. In regards to feminism, I won't delve too deeply here because, let's be honest, I haven't read enough literature to parse the different waves of feminism that are influencing this film, and there are other better YouTube channels to do that. But on the surface level, Barbie highlights the way that women are perceived in modern life. Coming from a magical land where everyone is an object because they are literally anthropomorphic dolls, Barbie never feels more like an object than she does in the real world. And that's due to her experience with the male gaze. Sure, the film deals with a lot of low-hanging fruit, using the term the patriarchy a lot, but this is a film that's supposed to be understood by teenagers, so buzzwords work. And America Ferrera's speech is such a powerful statement that, if you don't agree and are moved by it, you're wrong and you should probably think about why you think that. And the fact that this movie lampoons consumerism so much, it's just the best $150 million corporate ad that I've seen since the Lego movie. There are interspersed fake commercials about Barbie lines that are super depressing, showing that these corporations are willing to sell anything as long as they think they'll make a buck, and commenting on the fake happiness that is in all of these commercials. Will Ferrell's entire character throws so much shade at Mattel that I'm surprised that it was given the green light. My own personal headcanon is that their reaction to Gerwig's pitch is just this.
That's a
terrible idea.
Yeah, that's going to make money.
I love it.
And I've buried the lead with this, but the film looks gorgeous. Barbie Land is perfect in its artificial aesthetic. The colors, the sets, the design, the style, the shot composition. I'm just blown away. The artificiality is toned down once we get to the real world, which is to be expected. But there's some nice montages, costume choices, and match cuts that really highlight the tone that Gerwig is going for. And of course, the Mattel offices are perfect. The bottom floor is this droll office building with cell-like cubicles, but when we get into the elevator and go all the way to the top, we see the executive meeting room with color and rainbows and a heart-shaped table. In every shot, you see a filmmaker working at the top of her game to give the audience her vision. Nothing was phoned in, and it is appreciated. And you know what else I love about movies? References to old movies, because I'm like that. And Gerwig delivers here as well. To hit on just a few, we get references to The Matrix, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Grease, Top Gun, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and whatever era this was for Sylvester Stallone. And the whole having unbrainwashed President Barbie distract Ken by having him explain The Godfather to her.
Oh my God, you've never seen The Godfather? This movie is a rich blend of Coppola's aesthetic genius.
I don't see any parallels of that in my life whatsoever. I wouldn't do that. Since Barbie is a film about feminism, it clearly has a thing or two to say about masculinity. There are oodles of examples of toxic masculinity in this film. The construction workers catcalling Barbie, the dude on Venice Beach who slaps her ass, and Ken's whole deal with the Mojo Dojo Casa houses and the brewski beers. But the thing about Ken is, he just wants Barbie's approval. His antagonism comes from a place of anguish, which of course is not an excuse, but it allows for the audience to empathize with him. If we can understand the bad actions done by people, we can maybe nudge them in the right direction. I'm not saying that we need to be like those movies where racist white people make friends with a black person and then they stop racism, because those movies are awful and they just perpetuate the problems. And the dude who slaps Barbie's ass doesn't deserve our grace. But I am saying that Ken is like a child, naive and simple, not getting what he wants and lashing out. And Barbie is able to help move him away from his bad actions by doing something that she has never done in the past. Respecting him. Seeing him. I just find Barbie winning the final confrontation with Ken not through violence but through understanding and dialogue to be a nice sentiment. And finally, the last thing I have to say about this, the greatest, subjective, and highest global box office, objective, film of 2023 is this. The soundtrack. Movies just don't do soundtracks anymore. Not pop song needle drops that the movie licenses and uses throughout the film, and then is compiled into an album that you can buy at Walmart. But wholly original songs. They used to do this all the time, and there are so many iconic songs that are only in our lives because of movies. Kiss from a Rose, My Heart Will Go On, Scotty Doesn't Know, all certified bangers. And Barbie not only has original songs from Dua Lipa, Nicki Minaj, and Billie Eilish, it has a song and dance number that will no doubt be nominated for an Academy Award. I would like more soundtracks in movies. So yes, this should not be a controversial statement, but Barbie might be one of the best movies, if not the best movie, of 2023. And if you're one of the 5 people who didn't go see this movie in theaters, I beg you please treat yourself when this comes to Max. Sorry for the spoilers. But because of Woman, people are pissed off, and I don't know, that's just our culture now. That's just what we have. That's what we have to deal with. Hopefully movie fans won't bring a whole controversy to Greta Gerwig's next project, and we can just relax and enjoy it in the theaters like regular... Oh, really? She's writing Snow White? I just can't see any reason that anyone would have a problem with a Disney fairy tale. I mean, remakes aside, it's been a long time, they might as well retell the story. I'm all for it. The Daily Wire, you said? and they're doing it to compete with Disney because of wokeness. Trying to capture the manufactured outrage of virtue signaling, but in doing so are just virtue signaling in the opposite direction? And that I really should know better? Well, I guess I don't. Let's just hope that her Narnia project doesn't have the same problems from a toxic fan base. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe.